Hi, and welcome back to another Stampin' on Friday episode. Today we're going to be making a card with using a lot of the paper tray ink dies. But first thing I want to do is I have some of my off-white seam binding, and I want to crinkle this. So I'm just going to spray it with some water and just kind of wrinkle it up, make sure it's nice and wrinkled in my paper toweling here. And I'll just set this aside to dry a little bit, and if it's not dried all the way, when I go to use it, I'll just use my heat gun on it. So I'm going to bring my Cuttlebug in, and I'm going to be using, well, first I have a couple of things I'm going to be doing. So I have my A plate and my B plate, and I'm going to start off with some just off-white, this is vintage cream cardstock, and this die from the 1 3/4 Limitless Layers. Whoop. And I'm going to go ahead and die cut this piece. Okay, so that's my first piece. And then I'm also going to use the ice cream cone from the, let's see, the Sweet as Can Be stamp set, and I'm going to be using just this part of the stamp for today for the outside of my layer, and then I'll use the sentiment for the inside. So I'm going to use, cut my ice cream cone out here twice, and I'm only doing it because I practiced stamping the bottom part of the cone, and I just can't seem to line it up right for some reason tonight, so I am going to do it twice just so I have an extra one in case I mess it up. And I'm just going to use the bottom part in the off-white. So we'll set that aside, and I'm not going to use the tops of my cones with the off-white. Instead I'm going to use the felt, and this is vintage cream felt from Paper Tray Ink, and I'm just going to cut the top part, or die cut the top part. So for the felt, I'm going to run it through once, and then I'm going to come back and run it through again. And that just makes sure I have a nice cut with that. And then I'm going to do another one because I'm going to have a double dip ice cream cone. Because when I have ice cream, it's got to be a double dip. Okay, so there's my two top pieces in the felt. So I'll set those aside, and now I'm going to use, take my card base, which measures 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, and just with the piece of tape here, I'm going to take this edge die, and I think this is Edgers number 3, and I'm going to take my card and tape that right to my die just so I know it's in place, and I'm just lining this up inside the die, and then I'll take a little piece of tape just so I know it's held in place, and I'll run that through my machine here. And then I'll just pop that piece off. So then that'll give me a nice little decorative edge on the bottom. So I'm going to use this die one more time, and I'm just going to peel this piece off here, and I'm going to take a 4 by 4 piece of pattern paper, and this is from the Library Ledger Paper Tray Ink 8x8 stamp set or paper pad, and I'm going to do the same thing with this, and this measures 4 by 4 inches, and I'm just going to make sure it's center before I put my little piece of tape on. And then I'll go ahead and die cut this piece. And then this will layer nicely on my card. So there's that piece. And that'll layer right on the front of my card. Okay, so one more piece that I have to die cut here, and that is another piece of my pattern paper, and I'm going to use the circle from the Limitless Layers. and I'll die cut that piece, and then we'll go ahead and start assembling our card. Okay, so I'm going to start off by stamping my my little cone here, and I decided I'm going to use the Antique Linen Distress ink. So I'm just going to go ahead and ink up my stamp. And like I said, I cut these out twice, so I made sure that I, in case I made a mistake or kind of stamped off, which I think I just did. Yeah. I don't know why I seem to not be able to line the stamp up right. There we go. Got it that time. Okay, so that'll be the cone to my ice cream cone. So I have that there. And then I have my little piece that I have cut out from the Limitless layer. So I'm just going to poke out these little centers of this. And that's going to go right here. And then I'll have my cone. Actually, I'll have this layered right here. And then my ice cream cone is going to go right there. Okay, so let me start by putting this together. I'm just going to go ahead and put some adhesive on the back of my pattern paper. And then I'll layer this right on the front of my card. Just like that. And then we'll go ahead and layer my circles. So that's going to go right there. My cone will go right here. And then I have my 2 scoops of ice cream for right there. So we'll adhere my scallop down. Now before I put that into place, I want to go ahead and do my ribbon. So what I'm going to do is, since it's nice and crinkled, I'm just going to tie this in a bow. And I'm tying just both pieces together. Okay, so I went ahead and tied my bow and dried it a little bit because it was still a little damp. So I'm just going to take a glue dot and roll it and stick it right onto the back of my seam binding. And then I'll go ahead and place this right on the front of my card. Just like that. And now that I have that in place, I can go ahead and place my scallop in the right spot. Okay, now for my little ice cream cone, I'm going to go ahead and take a dimensional adhesive. And I'm just going to use one of these right towards the bottom. And then a little adhesive right at the top of my ice cream cone. And that'll get placed right here. And then for my ice cream scoops, I'm going to try some glue dots to see if that'll stick to the felt, which it does. And I'll do my last scoop. Okay, so that's that. And then the last thing I want to do to the front of my card is I have some of these pink pearls. And they're on a strip, but what I did was I just cut them apart, and I thought I'd use those for sprinkles on my ice cream cone here. And right now my pearls are going to fight with me. Okay, and then I also want to add a little strip of 3, maybe down in this corner over here. So I'm just going to do 3 of them right down here in this little corner, just like that. So that's the front of our card. And then for the inside, I'm going to take wishing you a birthday just as, and then there's sweet as you. Okay, so I messed up on stamping, of course. So what I decided what to do is I had cut a piece of the same pattern paper that I used for the front of my card just to try it out. So I think I'll adhere that to the inside of my card. I'll adhere that right in here, and it won't be seen. So, and then I'm going to take, this is just another piece, is the back side of the pattern paper, and I'm going to use, for this one, a brownie. So I'm just going to use brown sugar, Jenny Bolin brown sugar, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment. Make sure it's nice and inked this time. And that'll go right onto the back side of this pattern paper. That's better. And then I will take my sweet from the stamp set and make sure it's a little straight on my block here. And we're just going to go ahead and stamp that right there. And then I'll use my paper trimmer to trim this. Alright, and then that will go right in the center of my card. And there we go. That's our card for today. Thanks for watching another episode. See you next time.